Lore time? Okay. Okay. Dark Souls 3 lore? Let's see what this is all about. Shh. Silence. Let's go.
The stories of Souls games have always revolved around bosses, but that statement has never been more true than for Dark Souls 3. If you understand who you're killing in this game, then you will understand the story. The first one in your way is Udex Gundyr, the Ashen Judge.
You did not just call him Udex. It's Index Gunder, dude. Don't fucking forget it's Index Gunder.
And Scabbard to the coiled
What did he
sword in
call?
your way is Udex Gundyr,
Udex,
the Ashen Judge, and Scabbard to the coiled sword of the shrine. This
Scabbard.
sword is bequeathed
Oh,
only
wow.
to chosen Ash, who can best him in battle. But before he was the Ashen Judge, Gundyr walked through this place much like we did, on his way to meet his Firekeeper and link the fire.
Love me.
Charged with a duty and granted a cast iron halberd that would never crumble, Gundyr arrived, late, greeted by a
Gundyr.
shrine without fire and a bell that would not toll.
No.
The flame had already faded, and his Firekeeper had been thrown into the depths of the bell tower, grave of Firekeepers past. She never met her champion, and the ensuing tragic farce became a favorite tale of the masses.
That's why that thing had a Firekeeper robe and gloves and skirt? Oh my... And that was supposed to be Gundyr's Firekeeper? What? What?
And after he was bested by an unknown warrior, which is probably us, Gundyr the champion became sheathed to a coiled sword in the hopes that someday the first flame would be
I did
linked
that?
once more.
Whoops.
Perhaps Gundyr, with his unbreakable halberd, was fated to eternal service from the beginning. Since it's implied that Gundyr expected to meet a Firekeeper, he was likely meant as a candidate for linking the fire. Those capable of linking the fire are named Lords of Cinder, beings capable of bringing back the world from the brink of darkness by linking the first flame. Indeed, the game speaks of 3 Lords of Cinder who have already linked the fire,
Gwyn?
and they're being resurrected as a last resort to link it once again. In the opening cutscene, you saw them. Aldrich, Saint of the Deep, Yorm the Giant, and Farron's Abyss Watchers. Each of these lords once had an age of their own, and the remnants of their age lives on in Dark Souls 3 and in their resurrection. For example, Aldrich is linked to these bosses and their stories. The Abyss Watchers are linked here. And those in Lothric are conjoined here. For simplicity's sake, we're going to discuss these stories in 3 chunks, starting with Aldrich, Pontiff Sullivan, Vort, and the Dancer, who all reside in the Boreal Valley. The Boreal Valley is currently ruled over by Pontiff Sullivan, a tyrant who sends his Outrider Knights to serve as his watchful eyes and his guards. And the first knight of Pontiff Sullivan we meet is Vort, an Outrider Knight who ambushes us as we attempt to leave Lothric. So the Outrider Knight's job is to keep an eye on things. Sullivan's knights are also described as his watchful eyes and his punitive blades. Each Outrider Knight is provided with a ring by the Pontiff, which transforms them into frenzied beasts and lures them into battles of death. Specifically, the 2 main Outrider Knights we see upon the high wall of Lothric appear at both points of progression in the area, so perhaps they serve as strategically placed guards in order to hinder our progression, and for Sullivan to keep an eye on the world.
Oh, that's where their eyes...
When you went through
so you can
Irithyll,
watch.
I'm sure you noticed those ghosts that seem to be walking the streets. Well, they
Yeah.
likely represent the Outrider Knights before their departure and descent into madness, because 2 in particular are very interesting. They walk together,
Husband and wife.
one man, one female, and the woman wears the mask of the Dancer.
Oh my god.
Vort was never far from the fleeting Dancer, who watches over Emma in Lothric's Grand Cathedral. The Dancer is far more intriguing than Vort is. The Pontiff ordered her to serve as a dancer, and then he ordered her to serve as his Outrider Knight. He bestowed enchanted swords upon her, one dark and one light, mirroring his own. Eventually, the black eyes of the Pontiff transformed her into a beastly creature, her gauntlets fusing with her own hide. The fascinating thing about the dancer, though, is who she was before she became Sullivan's pet. It's a very popular theory that she is one of the 3 daughters of Guinevere who appear
Wow.
in-game. Here's the evidence. Her aurora veil is said to be an article of the old gods, which is permitted only for direct descendants of the old royal family.
Where was that?
Which is permitted
Where the fuck is that, by the way? That looks like Sullivan's... No. It looks like where the dancer ambushes you, but it's on fire.
only for direct descendants of the old royal family. The dancer's soul can also be transposed to give you the spell Soothing Sunlight, miracle of Guinevere of the old royalty. Guinevere used to reside in Anor Londo, home of the gods, and her line continues in Lothric. So Guinevere was also revered as a goddess of fertility and bounty. She raised many heavenly children, and the dancer, having one of the 3 sunlight spells, is clearly one of them.
Oh.
And of course, as you know, Pontiff Sullivan, the tyrant, now rules over Irithyll and Anor Londo, so it's my belief that Sullivan gained power within Anor Londo, then proclaimed himself pontiff, and ordered Guinevere's daughter to serve as his dancer, and then outride a knight. The royal family was usurped and devoured and torn apart by Sullivan, who Yorshka says wrongfully proclaimed himself pontiff.
I don't like him.
Even after the family's passing, the Silver Knights looked over their manor and the ruined cathedral. The story behind Pontiff Sullivan's rise...
I love that. Source. Some armor I found in the game is the source.
...to power is told lightly, with only clues peeking above the surface. But in a nutshell, I believe Pontiff Sullivan took over Anor Londo from within, probably with the help of the Deacons of the Deep. The only ones in his way were the Dark Moon Knights.
The Dark Moon Knights were once led...
Who the fuck was she, by the way? We never found out anything about her. We talked to her, she said... What did she say? She didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. She said, just leave or whatever, or Sullivan. Or something like that. But nothing ever came of her, nothing ever...
by my elder brother, the Dark Sun Gwendolyn. But he...
My older brother, Gwendolyn.
were once led by my elder brother, the Dark Sun Gwendolyn.
She's a daughter of Guinevere. But now we're getting into real dangerous territory, because that would mean that it's her uncle. Oh, you mean Gwyn? Wow, so she's sister to Guinevere. One of them got luckier than the other.
But he was stricken by illness, and leadership of the knights fell to me. Then Sullivan wrongfully proclaimed himself pontiff, and took me prisoner. Oh, where could my dear brother be?
He's been consumed
so when
by
I say
Aldrich.
that Pontiff Sullivan took over Anor Londo from within, it is speculation on my part, but my reasoning is that he knew of Gwendolyn.
Oh, you didn't kill her? She drops the best miracle... Brother, you know I didn't kill her, because you fucking told me how to get to her, and then I got to her, and then went, wow, I wonder what the point of her is. Oh well, I'll just leave. You motherfucker, I'm gonna have to play New Game Plus now. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch.
And he knew of Yorshka, and he wrongfully...
Sorry, what was that?
Took over Anor Londo from within. It is speculation on my part, but my reasoning is that he knew of Gwendolyn, and he knew of Yorshka, and he wrongfully proclaimed himself pontiff.
Is Yorshka the woman that we were just talking about, that sits outside there and was imprisoned and sits in the white? Is that who that is? Yorshka? He knew about Yorshka and he knew about Gwendolyn.
Gwyndolin, and he knew of Yorshka, and he wrongfully proclaimed himself pontiff, which all imply that he was a part of the system already. A pontiff is essentially a high priest, and the miracles, the weaponry, and the rings of the Dark Moon all rely on faith. Additionally, there's a bit more evidence that the pontiff was a part of the Dark Moon system already. The sword in his left hand is a ceremonial sword representing the judgment of the moon.
Piece of shit.
However, its magic is far closer to sorcery than any existing lunar power. Its dark blue hues, deeper
That's why
than
he
the
shouldn't
darkest
be
moon, reflect
pontiff.
Sorcerer Salavan's
I've been saying that.
true
I've been saying he
nature.
shouldn't be pontiff all this time.
Yorshka calls Salavan a tyrant, which can mean someone who elects themselves ruler without legal right. This, along with his great sword of judgment that references the moon, furthers that idea that he took over from within, the figurehead of a movement that was abandoning their faith in favor of Salavan's true calling, dark sorceries. And the same sort of shift was happening amongst the deacons of the deep, who we find all throughout Anor Londo.
loathe these guys.
Originally,
I
though,
loathe
they were a
them.
group of clergymen dedicated to sealing away the potential horrors of the deep.
Yeah.
Deep protection tells us that the deep was originally...
Ooh, deep. That's a infusion. So deep, cathedral of the deep. It might not mean cathedral of a place that is deep. It might mean a cathedral of the deep spell power, or whatever that is. Infusion, the deep, whatever that means. That's probably more likely what that means, right? Wow. I think I just figured that out. Does anybody have this guy's email address? I could send him a quick email. Maybe he could add that to a video in future. So,
a peaceful and sacred place, its deacons wearing dark red robes denoting their blessing of fire. Over time, however, the deep became the final rest for many abhorrent things. And indeed, human dregs were likely some of those things, as the dregs of humanity are said to sink to the lowest.
There's a covenant in Anor Londo that one of the deacons, there's a big fat deacon, and down there, there's a big fat deacon that sits down under there. What do I give him human dregs? Yes, okay.
Depths imaginable, forming the bedrock of the world. Those who linger too long for many abhorrent things, and indeed human dregs were likely some of those things, as the dregs of humanity are said to sink to the lowest depths imaginable, forming the bedrock of the world. Those who linger too long on the brink of the deep will often slip, and lurking within the deep are insects which tear open the skin and burrow into flesh. Eventually, those dedicated to sealing away the horrors of the deep succumb to its very power. An example of this is their Tome of Knowledge, which was originally intended to teach divine protection, but it had dark tales added to its pages, making it a thing most profane.
Classic Catholic Church,
And
bro.
along with this descent, presumably, was Aldrich, Saint of the Deep.
A right and proper cleric, only he developed a habit of devouring men.
Gatchy base,
He
gatchy
ate
base.
so many that he bloated like a drowned pig, then softened into sludge. So they stuck him in the Cathedral of the Deep, and they made him a Lord of Cinder, not for virtue, but for might.
Wow.
Aldrich was this simple saint who became a hugely powerful being, eventually chosen, maybe willingly and maybe not, to become a Lord of Cinder and link the fire.
Right.
The deacon's skirt tells us that the deacons tended to the flame, and I'm perhaps inclined to believe that this
Sounds
meant
like a
that
great
maybe
weekend to
they
you.
were tending to the flame of Aldrich when he was a Lord of Cinder. And whether this is true or not, we do know that the deacons eventually succumbed to the horrors of the deep, and neither tending to the flame nor the faith could save them. You would have noticed that many deacons cast Dark Soul sorceries,
I did,
which were
yes.
imparted to them by Archdeacon MacDonald, an adherent of
McConnell?
Aldrich who was largely responsible for the corruption of the deacons. Archdeacon MacDonald delighted in the cathedral's stagnating souls. For him, they represented the glorious bedrock of this world. Under the guidance of Archdeacon MacDonald, these deacons became both clergymen and sorcerers. The Archdeacon's sin, as it's called, was to channel faith for sorcery.
I have a question, right? This game is made in Japan by a Japanese team, right? Are we to assume that they would have complete translations and equivalents to archdeacons, clergymen, all these very, like, what I consider Western, I don't maybe you would, European things like this. Would they have that over there? Like, I know they obviously have it nowadays, but would they call it this? Would it be the same kind of thing? Or do they purposefully make it a more European sort of mythology? Because this is kind of what it seems. Does that register with you guys? Or am I just being ignorant? He had to be very knowledgeable in this culture. He was a driving force for all these signs and bad stories, and he is Japanese. Yeah. So I wonder then there's no way to know because I don't speak Japanese or I don't know anything about them, about their culture, really. So there's no way for me to know how it translates. But I wonder if it does, or do they, like, for example, right? Do they, when Japanese people play this game, do they go, oh yes, this is about people. This is a sort of based on European culture. And they recognize that, or do they think, or do they have some kind of equivalent over there? I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's confusing, Like, because if I made a game that was about the religious systems over there and like their status and how you would, like, I would just Google Translate how to say clergyman in Japanese and then just put that down. It wouldn't work, right? So I don't know.
Which transformed his staff from a...
No, it's the same game, and it's also in English. What? Oh my God. Only the subtitles are different. Okay. Wow. You're kidding me. So it's all in English. That's bold, man. But then again, I suppose, what's his name? What's the fucking guy called? Why can't I think of his name? Metal Gear Solid. Begins with a K. I don't want to say it wrong because that'd be racist, but Kojima. Whew. Huh. Kojima does the same thing, right? I guess. Kojima does the same thing. Anyway.
Symbol of religious authority into a catalyst of dark sorceries. The deacons, they still had faith, but it was not in fire any longer. It was in Aldrich, Saint of the Deep, their master. Yeah. Upon his resurrection, Aldrich, like many Lords of Cinder, ruminated on the fading of the fire. I
never got to look at Aldrich. I just kind of hit him until he was dead.
For him, it inspired...
I tell you what, he looks a hell of a lot like Gwendolyn, does he not?
He saw beyond the age of fire to the age of deep waters and the coming age of the deep sea. Filled with new purpose, he knew what he had to do. He would devour the gods himself. When we get to the Deacons of the Deep, we expect to find Aldrich in his coffin, but he's already left for his home in the Boreal Valley.
What?
The Deacons here are led by Archdeacon...
That's Aldrich's coffin? And he flies up to it?
Royce, who is one of them in the Boreal Valley.
What?
The deacons here are led by Archdeacon Royce, who is one of the 3 archdeacons who remained behind to keep eternal watch over his master's coffin, hoping that one day he would return.
Royce a bitch, bro.
Aldrich left behind a small doll in his coffin that Pontiff Sullivan gave to his most valued subjects. Wherever you go, the moon sets in Irithyll. Wherever you may be, Irithyll is your home.
Wow. That's so
When
cool.
Aldrich left, Archdeacon
what
MacDonald
was going
went
on
with
there?
him. We come across MacDonald in the depths of Anor
Oh yeah,
Londo,
I remember that.
and MacDonald,
That's who
like
that
many
was, that
other
big fat
deacons,
guy.
is obese. He's huge, and I see that as a legacy of Aldrich, who derived power
eat men.
from gluttony. They're clearly
yeah.
mimicking him. In Anor Londo, Archdeacon MacDonald came to lead the Aldrich faithful, who are defenders, who exist to ensure that Aldrich, devourer of gods, remains undisturbed. And when we come across Aldrich, we realize why he wants to be undisturbed.
Why?
Because Pontiff Sullivan, with a devourer of gods by his side, has imprisoned a god of the old royalty in the abandoned cathedral to be
Yeah,
fed.
look, that's fucking Gwendolyn, isn't it? The womanly looking guy. He became Gwendolyn, it seems like.
To the devourer. Gwendolyn,
Yes.
son of Gwyn and prior leader of the Dark Moon Knights, was gradually devoured by Aldrich. As Aldrich slowly devoured the god of the Dark Moon, he dreamt. In this dream, he saw the form of a young, pale girl in hiding.
His sister.
We know this is Yorshka, who was sister to Gwendolyn, and a half-breed who is parallel
Ooh,
to Priscilla
half-breed.
from Dark Souls 1.
Wow, what? Priscilla, you're kidding me. Above the champion grave tender. Priscilla, wow. Oh, wow. So she has a tail. This bitch has a tail. She's a
But
half-breed.
The interesting thing about this is the dream that Aldrich had, because apparently Aldrich only needs to dream about someone to learn their skills,
Well, that's
for
cool.
he uses Priscilla's life hunt scythe in battle. And this fact that he can learn
Wow,
things
that's
through his visions.
That's Priscilla's
Scythe
fucking
in
weapon?
battle.
What? So she's Priscilla. Wait, how is she Priscilla, though? I didn't really understand that.
This is Yorshka, who was sister to Gwendolyn, and a half-breed who is parallel to Priscilla from
Parallel.
Dark Souls 1. But the interesting thing
What does that
about
mean?
this is the dream that Aldrich had, because apparently Aldrich only needs to dream about someone to learn their skills, for
That's-
he uses Priscilla's life hunt scythe in battle.
That's fucking crazy. He dreams. He dreamt about her, and now he can use her abilities because he dreamt about her? Fuck. I gotta get myself some kind of power like that, I feel
And
like.
this fact that he can learn things through his visions has some interesting implications,
Go on.
because Aldrich is clearly wielding a Gravelord greatsword upon the end of his spear,
Ooh, let me guess who that would be. Gravelord. Ooh. Dunno.
which lends credit towards this theory that Aldrich has devoured
What? No! No way! He ate Nito as well? This guy's fucking greedy, but he's eating everybody.
Nito in some capacity.
What?
And he is called the Devourer of Gods, plural, after all. So another question becomes, did Aldrich also devour Nito?
Seems like it, right?
Well, he has the wispy Nito-like cloak with
Yep.
skulls within it, but I think it's more likely that these skulls are just remnants of other humans that he's devoured. You have to remember there is no concrete evidence that he has devoured Nito, and I
How could he?
personally think it's
How could
more
he?
likely that he simply dreamt up the Gravelord spell in a similar manner to which he dreamt up the Life Hunt scythe from Yorshka.
That's why I would
But
have
what you think shapes the story here, so
Oh.
let me know.
I don't know. I
so
don't think.
that's
I don't think.
all of the points.
Let's get this straight, buddy. I don't think for myself, okay? I let other people think for me, okay?
Lackeys explained for the most part, and the biggest unanswered questions here to go into in other videos is what exactly the relationship between Sullivan and the deacons is, and in what order this story of corruption and treachery played out, because timeline is always one of the hardest things to get right in the Soul series. But the biggest curiosity, in my opinion, and the one that really interests me, are Aldrich's visions of the age of the deep sea.
Does that have anything to do with the and when I fought Gale? I remember when I fought Gale and I went to that place. It was all desert. Is that the age of the deep sea by any chance? No.
From a being, remember, that has visions so accurate he can learn spells from those visions. So, in a franchise that's entirely self-contained within this Age of Fire and its cycles, this vision of the deep sea, it's pretty much the only mention of a different future. And its appearance in these descriptions feels so out of place that I almost expect it to be
No, I will never stop talking about my fight with Gale. Because, I mean, I beat him first try, right? And like a novice player beating Gale first try, like I hesitate to call myself a novice player, even though it is my first time playing. Is probably like a once in a, like nobody's ever done that apart from probably me, right? So, yeah, no, I don't think I will. Actually.
Referenced in the future in some capacity. Assuming it's not just a reference to Bloodborne, maybe this indicates what Miyazaki is doing next on one of his projects, or maybe we'll see something related to this in the DLC.
What did I fucking say? What did I say? I just said the Deep Sea was going to be in the DLC. It was in the DLC, and he just said it, right?
Moving on. Something set Sullivan down this path. When Sullivan was a young sorcerer, he discovered the profaned capital, and down there he discovered an unfading flame below a distant tundra of Irithyll, and when he found this, a burning ambition took root within
Lord Vessel. That's the Lord Vessel.
him. The profaned flame. The origins of it aren't known, but we do know a few things. We know it's an unfading flame, we know that it can be manipulated, and we know that it swallows the hearts of those who wield it. The pontiff...
Does this thing... It's not the same thing that Ariandel, is that his name? Father of Frida, wields in that fight. Remember he has that basin of fire? Is that the same thing?
Manipulated, and we know that it swallows the hearts of those who wield it. The pontiff himself imbued his greatsword with this fire, and he also gave it to his...
Oh yeah, because I got his sword. The profaned flame sword. Oh my god. Sorry, I just, like, my brain is too powerful maybe for this video, I don't know.
Knights. Shortly after he did this, the fire witches had their hearts swallowed by the flame. And as one last example of its corrupting influence, the handmaidens who wield it down in the profaned capital, their dagger says that they take pleasure in wounding others, and, of course, the pontiff himself doesn't exactly have a very good moral compass. But apart from that, we know precious little about the profaned flame, and this has been the hardest part of the script to write for me, because the profaned flame defies...
Wait. Scripted? Okay.
all categorization as flames that have existed previously in the series, so I'm going to work on my theories on it, and while I'm doing that I'll list those theories in the description, because I could talk about this thing for a very long time without actually getting anywhere. But the final thing, and maybe the most important thing we know about the profaned flame, is that Yorm the Giant became a Lord of Cinder to put it to rest. Now, clearly, Yorm was not successful, because the profaned flame has infiltrated almost all of Irithyll and set a lot of events in motion. This just adds even more tragedy to Yorm's tale. Yorm is the descendant of an ancient conqueror, and was asked by the very people once subjugated to lead them, serving as both a weighty blade and a stone-hard shield. Yorm fought unflinchingly as a one-man vanguard, but one day he lost the one he wished to protect.
What?
In response, he threw down his great shield and added a left hand.
I actually read that while playing, so I knew that. But like he was supposed to be a great guy, like a great legendary fighter, whatever. You know, sent out to defend and you know save everybody and whatever. He was trash at the game. Like like you just learn his trick. You learn what sword beats him in 4 hits, 5 hits, and you just kill him. Like no wonder he was fucking dog shit at whatever his job was.
And a notch to his machete instead, so he could two-hand it, for he no longer had anything left to protect. All the while, his human subjects appeared quite disrespectful of him. They were insincere when they called him a lord, and they doubted him. He is called Lonely Yorm in his cinders, and perhaps that's because he lost the one he wished to protect, or perhaps because he didn't have the love of his people. At some point, the profaned flame became a real problem in the capital, for according to his cinders, Yorm decided to sacrifice himself and become a Lord of Cinder to put the profaned flame to rest. I don't know why Yorm decided that, hey, I'm gonna put out fire with fire, because when he did this, fire rained down from the sky and incinerated naught but human flesh. This is an interesting insight into who the linking of the fire consumes. It consumed humans, and humans alone, and you see their disfigured, smelted corpses all around Yorm's chamber. Before he linked the fire, however, Yorm left behind 2 storm rulers, which was a legendary greatsword, also known as the Giant Slayer, for the residual strength of storm that brings giants to their knees. So this thing could kill giants, and one he gave to the humans who doubted him. He called them out on their cowardly words and gave them a weapon capable of killing him. And the other storm ruler he gave to a dear friend in return for a promise. This dear friend was Sigurd, who journeys to the profaned capital in order to uphold his promise and slay his old friend.
I never saw
Presumably,
this.
Yorm asked Sigurd to kill him if he ever betrayed his duty.
Wow.
And Sigurd does so, seeing that Yorm has not returned to link the fire once again. The profaned capital also had its sorcerers, who claimed heirship to the legacy of the renowned scholar Big Hat Logan, even going so far as to emulate the type of staff he used. But halfway across the world, I know of 2 crystal sages who emulated him even more closely. These crystal sages served as spiritual guides to the scholars of Lothric's Grand Archives, and one of them went on to ally with the Undead Legion. The Undead Legion of Farron was a caravan of undead, dedicated to the eradication of the Abyss wherever it was found. The Abyss Watchers, as they were called, follow the duty and the form of the Wolf Knight of Dark Souls 1, known as
Artorias the Abyss Walker. I feel like I should have probably fought him. Like, every single thing in this game really just like... all what did they say? All roads lead to Rome? All roads in Dark Souls lead to Artorias, I feel like. I probably should have... fought him. Maybe we'll go back and do that. Maybe.
Artorias the Abyss Walker. They are essentially his legacy.
You never fought Artorias? No, bro. I played the game and I beat the game. I didn't know there was DLC.
They made their home in Farron Keep, and high above Farron Keep lies an emaciated old wolf. The Abyss Watchers, for their hunting of the Abyss, they required some art that went beyond any existing art. Wolf's Blood, the legacy of Artorias, provided just that.
Wow.
Their pointed steel helm became shirked as this sinister omen by the masses, because, think about it, if you saw that pointed steel helmet coming towards your kingdom, you knew you were in trouble, because these guys are dedicated to taking out the Abyss. And indeed, their home in Farron might just be set above such a kingdom.
What the fuck is the Abyss? What the fuck is the Abyss? They're watching over the Abyss. They're fucking fighting against the Abyss or whatever. They're like, everybody's this, that, and the next thing about the Abyss. I don't even know what the fuck the Abyss is, man.
For below
Explain,
are the
game.
catacombs of Carthus, and sealed within a goblet,
The
deep
darkness,
below in the catacombs, is the encounter with High Lord Wolnir, a ruler who succumbed to the Abyss. Before succumbing to the Abyss,
So when we went into the darkness and fought him, we were in the Abyss. When we went into the darkness to fight Wolnir, we were in the Abyss. Oh, just like when we fought 4 Kings. What the fuck were they called? In Dark Souls 1, those guys. What were they called? I don't remember.
Wolnir was a conqueror. He ruled over the people of Carthus of the Sands, formidable warriors who were masters of the curved sword, and also of pyromancies that enhanced the effectiveness of their curved swords. The swordsmen attached great value to victory at all costs, for where was the honor in death? They lived for their High Lord Wolnir, who was conqueror of most lands known to their people, and yeah, you can see why they loved him. In Wolnir's time, there were other lords who had their crowns rightfully bequeathed upon them, but Wolnir brought them to their knees and ground their crowns to dust, forming his own crown from theirs, for he was the one High Lord, keen to outlive all others.
He's dead,
Reminds
though.
me a lot of what we did in Dark Souls 2.
Oh.
Anyway, somehow, Wolnir
In
himself...
what way?
For he was the one High Lord, his own crown from theirs, for he was the one High Lord, keen to outlive all others. Reminds me a lot of what we did in Dark Souls.
Why? What do you mean? When we finally sat on the throne ourselves at the end? Is that what it was?
2. Anyway, somehow Wolnir himself fell to the abyss, and he was gripped by this fear of true darkness, and he pleaded to the gods for the first time. In our boss fight with him, there is a darkness below Wolnir, and it's struggling to consume him. But Wolnir had his holy sword, and he had 3 armlets which he had
What?
stripped from the corpses of clerics, and these things gave him some semblance of comfort. Of course, we destroy the bracelets, and the abyss finally consumes him.
That's fucking
While he was in
quite scary,
the abyss,
actually.
however, Wolnir was not inactive. Black Serpent is this pyromancy that was discovered from the abyss by Wolnir, which went on to inspire the black arts of his Grave Wardens. The Grave Warden pyromancy tome was developed
Ooh,
by
what
his
is
Grave
that outfit? That looks fucking nice.
Wardens who discovered his pyromancies. And
Oh, that's the fire linker. Outfit,
going
right?
back up for a second, Wolnir and the Abyss, their proximity to the Abyss Watchers probably isn't coincidence. In fact, it makes quite a lot of sense for Karthus to be one of the kingdoms that the Abyss Watchers toppled. So let's go back up to the Abyss Watchers for a second and see if this theory holds any weight.
Okay.
Eventually, the Abyss Watchers became Lords of Cinder. Their shed wolf's blood served their mandate as lords. Essentially, it
If the fight with him gets too lengthy, he draws the sword and does his other. Oh, fucking hell, really? I never saw that. I killed him 2 seconds flat, but yeah, that's crazy. What was I going to say there? Why?
of Cinder. Their
I
shed
never really understood the. I never understood the Abyss Watchers fight whatsoever. Like, the Abyss Watchers are Abyss Watchers. They watch over the abyss, right? They are presumably, therefore, working together, right? So why, when I fight them, do other Abyss Watchers fight with... Like, you walk in and the guy's fucking killing one of his own. And then during the boss fight, they're killing each other. Like, what? What the fuck is that about? Wait. I never understood that.
wolf's blood served their mandate as lords. Essentially, it met the requirements. To gain access to the Abyss Watchers, you have to extinguish 3 flames, and I always wondered why this ritual existed. It felt very video gamey and out of place, but I went through once more recently, and
Oh yeah, really out of place in a video game. Something that's video gamey, right?
I looked really closely at the engravings behind each flame. One looks like the 4 kings, one looks like Nito, and one looks like the Bed of Chaos. 3 of the main lords in Dark
Bed of Chaos. I remember that was the one with the collapsing floor, and you'd run behind it and destroy like its little thing, whatever that was.
Souls 1, and
What was the other ones?
engravings behind each flame. One looks like the 4 kings,
That was in the Abyss.
one looks
Nito.
like Nito, and one looks
Where was he? He was at the... He was like deep... Oh, he was deep below the catacombs. Yeah. Right. I think.
like the Bed of Chaos. 3 of the main lords in Dark Souls 1, and these were the souls you had to collect to gain access to Gwyn and open a giant stone door. So these are likely here to
After Tomb of the Dead,
symbolize that, right? We're extinguishing 3 flames and we're opening the door that explains the ritual. Anyway, that's more a piece of trivia than anything.
It's alright, I like it.
After the Legion's
dude.
Watchers became Lords of Cinder, the wolf blood dried up, and Farron was consumed by a festering wood. Dark wraiths began to roam, the keep fell to ruins, and, as suggested by many of you in my lore through, the Abyss Watchers, upon being resurrected to link
Is a lore through where you play the whole game and you just explain the lore as you play? Because I'd kind of like to watch that on my own time. Maybe.
the fire once more, may have been affected by the Abyss as well.
Say that again, sorry.
Fire once in my lore through, the Abyss Watchers, upon being resurrected to link the fire once more, may have been affected by the Abyss as well.
So this is going to explain why they attack each other.
So here's the theory. The Abyss Watchers were driven to seek out the Abyss, right? Well, what if, upon their resurrection, the Abyss far below in the catacombs of Carthus crept into the Abyss Watchers themselves? This would explain why the Abyss Watchers are locked into endless combat with themselves, because they're driven to seek out the Abyss, but they also can't die, so they're locked into endless combat. When I read this theory in the comments, something else clicked as well.
Go on.
The Wolf Knight armor, which belonged to Artorias, who fell to the Abyss, says that the armor of the Abyss Watchers suggests their own eventual end. So the game is drawing a parallel here between Artorias and...
Whoa, hold up, everybody. Can someone help me financially? What's up, Darth Maul? You fallen on hard times, have you? That's tough to see. That's tough to hear, dude. Ever since you were cut in half and plummeted into the abyss, keeping it relevant. You need money? I'm so sorry, bro. I'm so sorry. What do we do? Just ban this guy or what? Like, where are you coming in here to beg? Get the fuck out of my life, bro.
And the Abyss Watchers, it's saying that the armor of the Abyss Watchers shows that they're falling to the abyss as well. And here's the really interesting...
Is that why the kind of design of that cape is like that? It's all kind of getting consumed by the darkness there?
Thing. When you look closely at their armor, you realize it has black...
Thank you. God,
tendrils
so
of
good.
the abyss rising up. So the armor is showing us that they fell to the abyss. Probably.
Wow.
This theory isn't concrete, and no one should take it as such, but I think it's the best explanation for their infighting. It's my favorite explanation, anyway.
Good.
And mostly, this one was all you guys, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. No problem.
Onwards to Lothric.
I have Monopoly money.
The Knights of Lothric were hunters of dragons, explaining their affinity with lightning.
Say that again?
The Knights of Lothric were hunters of dragons, explaining their affinity with lightning and why they worshipped the sun. They have since tamed dragons, and with their drakes, they once crushed anything that threatened their shores. The knight has served as one of the 3 pillars of Lothric since ancient times, and it shares place alongside the wyverns as a symbol of Lothric. However, tales of dragon slayers are now a rare thing, and they're told only in fragments and whispers in remote regions. The Dragon Slayer armor lost its master long ago, but it still remembers the sporting hunts they shared together. When we fight against it, the armor retains its master.
It's interesting. It's called the Dragon Slayer armor. It's like you're fighting a shell of just the like. There's nobody in the armor. It's just the armor itself or something.
This fighting style, but now it has a new master, the Pilgrim Butterfly.
What?
Now, the soul of the Dragon Slayer armor is the only mention of these butterfly creatures, so speculation abounds whenever you talk about them. When you look up at them closely, though, closer than the game intends you to ever get, you'll see that they're flesh and bone, and they're almost bent backwards with a ribcage jutting outwards. Now, their name is one of the biggest clues that we have, and the word pilgrim makes me think of the pilgrims of Londor, who all died on their way to the peak of Lothric. And just like these pilgrims, these pilgrim butterflies...
What the fuck is the peak of Lothric?
...fly upwards to the peak of Lothric as well. And in both these cases, with the pilgrims and the pilgrim butterflies, we have no real idea why either of them are going up. So perhaps we'll learn more if we ever get Londor-themed DLC, and I think that's pretty likely. I'm going to list 2 other theories in the description about the butterflies, because the bottom line is we don't know what they are. Next is the archives, and beyond the archives is Prince Lothric and his brother, Lorien. Curiously, these are the only Lords of Cinder who were not featured in the opening cutscene of Lords being resurrected, and I believe that's because they never linked the...
I'm pissed, man. Like, I just thought that we were coming to some more epic conclusion than that. Like actually, even before we fought the Lord of Cinder or whatever the fuck that last guy was, I thought we were going to fight King Lothric or like King of Lothric Castle. Like, they were always talking about the King of Lothric, and I don't know. It just felt inconclusive almost. Save the king. Isn't that what the woman said? Or save Prince Lothric? Like, what was the point of all that she said that? You did fight him. Right, but he was not the king. He's a prince. They're princes. And, like, there was nothing kingly about them. They were little fucking little emo kids, man. For that is our curse. Way. And they weren't even tough. They weren't even scared. They were like, when you walked in at the end of Dark Souls 1 into Gwyn's room, you were like, okay, he is him. That guy is him. Whoever he is him, right? So, I don't know. It was a bit of a, oh right, yeah. And what was that? That was some fucking fight in the garden downstairs. There was some fucking, it was Ozempic Vort is what it was. It was Vort on Ozempic I fought down there. And he was going, Ocelot! Shut up. It was an optional boss. He was an optional boss.
Fire. And I think their rejection of linking the fire might have been what set all of the desperate resurrections into motion. This is just a theory, but I think it's backed up by most of these descriptions and this dialogue.
Prince Lothric.
Yeah. She was the one that told me to save the prince.
Hands. Please save his soul.
There you go.
Tell him what he must be, a lord.
His hand was just arthritic. His hand was Ocelot? Is that who he was talking about? When he was going, Ocelot! Ocelot! Ocelot!
So,
Just made me want to play Metal Gear Solid 3. Never mind. Okay. It's just a joke. It was a joke. I just don't get it. I'm too stupid, man. Forget it. So there's Prince Lothric.
Prince Lothric and Lorien, his brother. Lorien is the eldest, and before he was crippled, he was a knight who single-handedly slayed a demon prince.
Bro. You're looking at me. I did that. It was a stupid joke, okay? Just don't listen.
The victory eternally scorching his sword with flame. The Cinders of a Lord state that the Lothric
Oh, he's crippled. That's why he's on the old knees, right? Oh, wow.
bloodline was obsessed with creating a worthy heir. They needed someone to link the flame, and for some reason Prince Lorien did not suffice.
I tell you why. He's a soft-cheeked little pussy boy. Look at him.
Someone to link
Look
the
at that guy.
flame, and for some reason Prince
You want this guy to be you want this guy to link some flames? This guy ain't doing nothing. He looks like a little bit of a bitch, honestly.
Lorien
I mean, I just walked in the front door, fucking bashed his brains in a few times, and then Island Boys, yeah, maybe, whatever that is.
did not suffice, so they put their faith in their next born, Prince Lothric, as his throne states, last hope of his line.
See, that's what I don't get. There, right there, it says it. Oh, for fuck's sake, okay.
Prince Lothric, as his throne state.
Holy King Lothric. That's what I was expecting to see. The Holy King who sits upon this throne with both hands gripped tightly over the armrests. I didn't expect little soft, effeminate kind of little guy on his knees to be that guy, you know? I don't know.
It's last hope of his line. Prince Lothric, destined to be a Lord of Cinder, was born into swaddling clothes used in ancient prayer, and they are all that he has ever worn. He was cherished by the royal family, and
Oh, for
despite
God's sake, he's a fucking poncy little prince. He's a fucking little princeling. Oh my God. No wonder. No wonder.
being born into illness, a frail and shriveled
You
child.
overestimate masculinity? Maybe. But look at him, a frail, shriveled child. He's meant to be my guy? Oh, come on.
He was their last hope, and meant to be a
Doesn't he
champion.
sit on this guy's back as well? He like goes,
Kill him.
cast magic and stuff.
But
Would you fight
something
him? I wouldn't even. No, I'd feel fucking cruel fighting him. I would be like, no.
things will remain distant dreams forever. Linking the fire proved impossible, so the family resorted to unspeakable means. Descriptions don't say or imply what these unspeakable means
resurrections.
are, so that's up to us to guess at. But after mentioning these unspeakable means,
The
the
resurrections.
Cinder description goes on to say that the path to linking the fire is a cursed one indeed. So Prince Lothric was cursed. With what, we don't know, but Lorien embraced his brother's curse, leaving him mute and crippled. It is said that Lorien, the one who embraced the curse, did so willingly and embraced his fate. When we kill Lorien in the boss fight, Lothric resurrects him, saying, "For
This
that
is
is
our
our
curse."
curse."
Yeah.
So maybe being unable to die itself is the fire linking curse, and why he says,
You remain among the accursed.
after becoming one, the soul of the twin princes says that they rejected their duty to become lords of Cinder and settled down far, far away to watch the fire fade from a distance. The curse has made their souls nearly inseparable. So, why did Lothric grow to despise and reject his duty as a lord of Cinder? Well, it's very likely due to a man named as the First of the Scholars. Soulstream says that he was alleged to be a private mentor
That
of the
guy?
royal
The guy up there in the Grand Archives?
prince, and that he doubted the linking of the fire. So it's very likely that this scholar was the one who made Lothric reject his fate as a Lord of Cinder. And there is so much more to the tale of Lothric, but we don't have time.
No.
I want to talk about the kingdom, about the royal family,
Okay, let's
but
go.
this video is only about the main bosses, so
Okay.
I still have to mention Osiris, King of Lothric, and
Osiris.
his wife, the Queen.
Is that
So
how you
please
pron-
subscribe and
pronounce
look
that?
out for the optional bosses lore video.
Oh, I'll have to see that too.
And the final main boss, the being we fight after the Firekeeper chastises the lords for going without thrones, is the soul of Cinder itself, located within the kiln of the first flame. The soul of Cinder is actually a fairly
This is it. This is what I've been looking forward to most, just to see what this guy is even about, okay?
easy being to explain.
Okay.
Ever since Lord Gwyn, the first Lord of Cinder, many exalted lords have linked the first flame,
Okay.
and it is their very souls that have manifested themselves as defender of the flame. The soul of Cinder is their deific manifestation. More
read that.
specifically, it's clear that the soul of Cinder is this conglomerate of players themselves, us from previous games and cycles, who have linked the fire.
Not me, because I
Using
wouldn't
the
be beaten
ninja
that
flip
easily.
ring from Dark Souls 1, curved swords, pyromancies, sorceries, miracles, and in Phase 2, the music shifts to this twisted tribute of Gwyn's
What?
theme as he takes on the First Lord's fighting style. The kiln
Oh, the
also,
fuck-
it represents
yeah.
the state of the world if you look behind you. It's a city twisted and distorted and folded in on itself, just like the
Drag
entire
heap.
game and bosses we just journeyed through. Dark Souls 3 contains the histories, the people, and the lands of the Abyss Watcher's age, of the Pontiff and Aldrich's age, of Yorm's age, and the story of Lothric that literally seems to have called forth old lords of Cinder to link the fire once again. And as you stand in front of the flame, 4 choices lay before you, more than any previous game. But that's a video and a story for another time. For this
4
video is
choices?
far too long already, and judging by my analytics for videos like this, only half of the people who started watching this video will still be watching now. So to you guys, thank you for sticking it through. This video took a really long time to make.
You're welcome.
And the major shout out in this video has to go to a guy who runs a YouTube channel named AGR Cactus.
I don't want that
He
one to
taught
be
me
me.
how to use a lot of these camera tricks, and this video would not look half as
Wow.
good if it wasn't for his guidance. He has this video called The Beauty of Lothric,
Yeah.
which really shows off how beautiful this game is when you look at it from angles that the game developers didn't exactly expect us to look at
Yeah.
it from. So do me a favor and check it out and subscribe to him.
No.
It's crazy. I've probably been talking for about half an hour now, and I haven't covered nearly as much as I would have liked to have covered. So for that, we have the Lore Through series, which is
Okay.
dedicated to being really in-depth as we go through every single area in the game. And
Whoa, whoa, whoa. These are spoilers right here. What the fuck is all this?
bring out the characters and their stories and what their stories relate to, we have prepared to...
Man, I kind of wish I'd done whatever this is, because this would have been a fucking ice cold final shot of Duff Dagger, right? Holy.
And for everything else we have the secrets videos. But next is a video just like this one, which gives you an overview of the optional bosses, and whether you're a patron or a viewer, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.
Dude, sick video, man. I fucking love these videos. They're so good. That's the Black Knight armor. Ooh, wow. I really don't know what to do, what to watch, because I can't type from here. Sorry. I meant bosses, optional bosses. How long is that? That's another 30-minute-er. It's just too crazy, but I kind of want to watch it. There's so many of these videos to watch. I don't know really what is a must watch. Like, I'll probably watch all of them on my own. I mean, killing the fire? No. Don't you dare. Oh, there's... Interesting. Same guy? Yeah. I would stick with Vati. Yeah. I kind of want to watch the lore of the optional bosses. Lore of the optional bosses. I would want to do the... I definitely want to do DLC. Like Dark Souls 3 DLC. Ariandel, that's a 22-minute-er. That would be quite a good one. And then I also want to do... What the fuck? Does he not have one on Ringed City? Not Rimmed City, that's a different game altogether. Oh my god. There's a part 1 and a part 2. No, that's not good. That's 8 years ago. How old's this one? 9 years ago, okay. Let's just have a quick peek at this, see what's up.
Lord Gwyn's firstborn son was a...
Oh my god. Lord Gwyn's firstborn son was the Nameless King. No fucking way. I think I actually knew that. I think I'd heard that already.
God of War, who inherited...
I think... Inherited sunlight from his father. How do you inherit sunlight, bro?
The sunlight from his father.
Doesn't he... I shouldn't be pausing this much because we'll never get fucking through this, and I need to go. I really need to go. Got stuff to do. Doesn't he... He went hunting dragons and was disowned. Anyway.
The power of sunlight is manifest as lightning,
Oh,
and it's highly
cool.
effective against dragons.
I've heard.
And Gwyn's firstborn son was once a dragon slayer who fought against his father's ancient enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, the ancient dragons once
Dark
ruled
Souls
over
1.
an age of grey, but Gwyn discovered their weakness and he struck them down with great bolts of lightning. Later, advancements in arms would lead to lightning-imbued spears with a cross pommel, which were developed to be stamped or thrust deep into the flesh of dragons.
No way.
The firstborn's Dragon Slayer sword spear was the first of such weapons, for the firstborn
explain
had
how the
respect only
fuck-
for arms and nothing else.
How the fuck is he killing him with the Nameless gear before getting to the Nameless King? I guess this is New Game Plus or something.
At some point during the war,
I'm missing all this. I'm
thrust
talking.
deep into the flesh of dragons.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
The firstborn's Dragon Slayer sword spear was the first of such weapons, for the firstborn had respect only for arms and nothing else. At some point during the war, however, Gwyn's firstborn had a change of heart.
He teamed up with him.
switched sides and sacrificed everything to ally himself with the ancient dragons.
Why?
And unlike a lot of Souls lore, this part of history is actually described as missing for a reason. For after he sided with the ancient dragons, Lord Gwyn's firstborn was expunged from the annals of history, and his deific status was rescinded. He was no longer considered a god, no longer in the books of history.
Oh, that's why. Because on the right we had Gwyndolin, right? I believe, or Guinevere. I can't remember. And then on the left was missing. No way.
And today, even his name is not known.
That's crazy. Nameless King. Oh, that's why he's called Nameless King. Ooh, dumbass. And he's brother to Gwyndolin, to Guinevere, to Yoshek, or whatever the fuck she was called. The Priscilla parallel. Yeah, that's why he's named.
If you played around the time that Dark Souls 1 was released, the identity of the firstborn was a complete mystery to all of us.
Still is.
All we knew was that he was Gwyn's firstborn, that he was a god of war, and that he was a core part of the Warriors of Sunlight. So players puzzled over missing statues
Is that him
next
up there?
to Gwyn, they puzzled over broken monuments to the Warriors of Sunlight, and we even guessed that the firstborn himself could have just been a simple man from...
Look at this, where my mouse is. Is that not Nameless King's fucking spear? The lightning one right there? Is that not the spear he thrusts into the flesh of dragons, bro?
Astora, who fought for the sun. And it is true that the god of war continued to watch over his sunlight warriors, but we can now finally see where he went and why. The Nameless King,
I'm just seeing it,
firstborn son of Gwyn, heir of sunlight and god of war, left the miracle sunlight blade upon his father's coffin, perhaps as a final farewell.
That's Gwyn's coffin? Are you... How the fuck are you supposed to know that? What? Was it like that in Dark Souls 1 when you went down this tunnel? Oh my... I can't remember.
Now, this part of the Nameless King's history, it's been purposefully erased, but some players do think that traces of his existence still remain out in the world and cannot be erased. In fact, it's a popular theory, and I'll leave a link to a few sources in the description, that the Nameless King is referenced in the Faram armor set, which is this plate set that was named after a god of war. The mighty Lion Knights of Ferosa, worshippers of the war god Faram, wore heavy armor and were feared for their two-handed swordplay. This armor was blessed by the war god Faram.
Yeah.
Ferosa would later fall to conflict with their neighbors, and the legacy of the Faram Knights fell with it, so the information here is also lacking. But is the Nameless King the war god Faram? Well, that's up to you to decide. Both are described as war gods, both place high value in arms. The Nameless King...
I'm so mad at myself for not putting more levels into leveling up. Or more souls into leveling up. Because knowing now that when you go into New Game Plus your levels carry over, I want to cry at the thought of how much I wasted on just thinking, oh, well, I'll just buy this, blah, blah, blah. Because I won't need these souls.
King had to be king
Luckily you came along when you did, because all those 1.5 million souls probably would have gone to Twinkling Titanite or something.
of some realm, and the Faram set is blessed and named after a god of war, who is possibly the one emblazoned upon the helm as a knight facing a dragon. Also, both the Nameless King and the kingdom of Ferosa fell from power. So, hey, whatever you believe, this is
That's a
classic
fucking nasty
example
set.
of
Why do I not
Souls,
wear that?
leaving just enough clues that you can choose to believe or not choose to believe, so no one is provably right or wrong here.
Okay.
But moving on to what we do know, the Nameless King tamed a storm drake, upon which he led a lifetime of battle.
Wow.
Assumedly, this partnership with the Storm Drake was a part of the Firstborn allying with the ancient dragons. I have a few suspicions that the Storm Drake might also be known as a giant horned Oni, which are found in eastern lands, as the Oni Slayer Great Arrow describes. And it's the only creature in the game that really fits the description of an Oni, whatever creature that is. And it's certainly a drake that looks very much like a foreign offshoot of most other Draconid creatures.
Very close to a German grandmother, the Oni. Very close.
Souls. It looks nothing like them, really. Oni are also found in an eastern land, and Ferosa is in an eastern land as well, so maybe there's something here, but just speculation. When the storm drake fell, the king...
That I knew I fucked up when I saw that. When I saw him put his hand on that horn like that, I was like, I killed his boy. I killed his dog, dude. I killed his best friend.
...claimed its soul, as was customary in the Age of the Gods. In a giant flash, we see the nameless king become imbued with the drake's power of the storm, which is really reminiscent of Ornstein and Smough, absorbing one another in their boss
John
fight
Wick,
in Dark
that was
Souls
it.
1, as the Age of the Gods was drawing.
God, that is a crazy connection. I never made that before. Ornstein, duh, obviously, Dragon Slayer himself, because his fucking armor set is there after this fight. They claim each other's souls in the exact same way as he just claimed. Oh, fuck.
To a close there.
Oh.
Dark Souls 3's description of Smough's great hammer tells us that Smough was the last knight to remain at his post, guiding...
He really was a G. Like, I mean, Ornstein was like, I'm leaving this place. I'm going hunting dragons. I'm going hunting the nameless king.
Wow. The ruined cathedral. Ornstein, on the other hand, he long guarded the ruined cathedral, but he left the land
In search of the nameless king. Yeah.
So you're probably asking yourself, how did Ornstein leave the cathedral if I killed him in Dark Souls 1?
Good question.
Then again in Dark Souls 2.
I actually did ask myself
remember,
this question. That's crazy. I forgot that Ornstein was in Dark Souls 2 in that cathedral. How did he get to that cathedral? Oh man, the lore videos I'm gonna need to fucking figure this whole story out. I'm gonna need a tome, like a Lord of the Rings sized tome, the like Lord of the Rings plus appendices tome.
Dark Souls 3 is the game that very openly references the fact...
Played Dark Souls 2. None of the DLC in Dark Souls 2. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't care. I just wanted to play it and beat it. I was in a hurry, okay? I should go back. I should go back and play them all, but I don't want to. But I probably should. I just like playing through them once and never playing again. But yeah, what are they saying here?
In Dark Souls 1.
I've asked this question myself as I was playing. I killed all these people. How are they here in Dark Souls 3?
And
is it a parallel universe? What's going on? Let's find out.
And again in Dark Souls 2. Well, remember, Dark Souls 3 is the game that very openly references the fact that events are doomed to repeat themselves. More than any previous game, this is a game about cycles, and the Lords of Cinder who contributed to their own cycle. We see so many cycles laid before us, so yes, a lot of narratives and plots in the game have been recycled. In a way, that's what the games are about. But in Dark Souls 3, it's nice because a lot of these plots are further along than ever before. Take Ornstein, for example. In this timeline, he survived until he tired of standing around in a cathedral, and he left.
Good for him.
For during this dragonless age where he stood in the cathedral, Ornstein the Dragon Slayer must have felt quite bereft of purpose, so he left in search of the Nameless King. So the question becomes, did he intend to kill the Nameless King?
Seems like his armor was there.
Did he intend to serve him? Ornstein's set in
I
Dark
guess you
Souls
could never
1
know, really.
describes Ornstein as the captain of the 4 knights of Lord Gwyn, but the Leo Ring of Dark Souls 3 describes him as the first knight of the Sun's eldest born. The name
First son of what?
3 describes him as the first knight of the Sun's eldest born.
Okay, so he was a knight of the Nameless King.
The Nameless King. So, since I find it hard to believe that he could be both the captain of the guard to Gwyn...
Half of Dark Souls 2's DLCs. I'll be honest, like, this game felt very short. Like, playing through this, like, it was actually kind of a surprise. I was like, wait, I'm at the fucking end? Like, Lothric Castle? I'm in Lothric Castle, and this is the end of the game? I feel like I've barely started. Dark Souls 2 dragged on. Dragged. So... I was like delighted to be over with Dark Souls 2, that I didn't even fancy playing the DLCs or even figuring out how to play the DLCs. You know, Dark Souls 1, this is it. This is where I'm going to lay down my This is where I'm going to lay down my take on the games, right? Okay, I'm with you. You know, shit like that. Anyway.
And simultaneously the first night of the Firstborn, I think it's most likely that Ornstein abandoned his duty as captain of the guard and then decided to serve the Nameless King instead, after he was exiled. But the best evidence that Ornstein remained a friend to the Nameless King is the Sacred Oath description, which labels him as not just the Nameless King's first knight, but his faithful first knight. Since the game is clarifying something like this, then I'm going to believe that he is loyal to the Nameless King. So Ornstein tracks down
That's
and
interesting.
pledges allegiance to the Nameless King.
I assumed he came to kill him.
What becomes of Ornstein after his arrival in Archdragon Peak? We find his armor and his weapon after the Nameless King fight, but it's just discarded to the side. It's not upon a corpse, it's not in a chest, and this is strange for Souls, right? It stands out. I don't think there's many examples of this happening. So sure, it wouldn't make sense for the armor to be upon a corpse, but items like this are at least meant to be in chests. So to me, it signifies that Ornstein didn't want to preserve anything at all from his past, or perhaps that he discarded his armor in the same way that many people here do, to begin the transformation into a dragon.
Ooh.
So, is Ornstein alive? Is he dead?
He's
Was
one
he
of the
killed
dragons.
by the Nameless King, or did he become one of the dragons in the shrine? His fate is left open for you to decide. So we've mentioned the
my
spell
God.
Sacred Oath before, and its description reads, Sacred Oath, a miracle devised by warriors of the sun, tells the tale of the sun's firstborn, his faithful first knight, and the brave dragon slayer who served them both. The brave dragon slayer who served them both. So a few dragon slayers could fit this description,
goat.
but I think it's most likely that this was Havel. Havel the Rock was a battlefield compatriot of Gwyn, the First
yeah.
Lord. He was suited in this armor, carved from solid rock, and he wields the tooth of an everlasting dragon.
Yeah.
Havel was followed by warriors who replicated his armaments and his weaponry and never flinched nor retreated from battle.
Good Chad.
Havel was the arch-enemy of Seath, the Scaleless, which
Course,
was the
pussy.
dragon who betrayed his own and allied with Lord Gwyn.
Slimy pussy, yeah,
This
yeah.
must have placed Havel in an awkward spot.
Ooh.
He's a battlefield compatriot of Lord Gwyn, and yet Gwyn allied with a magic-wielding, traitorous dragon that Havel hates. In Dark Souls 1, it's implied that
Yo, what's up,
Havel
dude?
was locked away by a dear friend, and all that time ago, we theorized that it was Gwyn himself who locked his hollowed friend away.
Ooh.
We also talked about how a piece of occult weaponry was
And
capable of
Orlando.
killing the gods, and it was locked away in a basement with the rest of
Oh,
Havel's
what was
gear
that?
away. We also talked about how a piece of occult weaponry was capable of killing the gods, and it was locked away in a basement.
Havel
with
is that
the
old,
rest
apparently,
of
yeah.
Havel's gear, and this fueled some theory.
I just don't understand. Like, time scales in the Dark Souls games don't make any sense to me. I don't get when anything is, or what. Like, it could all be within the same 20 minutes, for all I know. Like, or it could be thousands of years, no idea.
Havel plotted against the gods.
Oh,
In Lordran, Havel remained locked in that basement, but
yeah.
in Dark Souls 3, perhaps we see a
He's
different
free.
path to Havel's tale. We find armaments left by Havel himself in Archdragon Peak, and we can easily theorize that Havel was the dragon slayer mentioned in the tale of Sacred Oath.
God, that's so
a
cool.
brave dragon slayer, the keyword being brave, who never flinched or retreated from battle, and had good cause to take up arms with the Nameless King, who was another leader positioned to rebel against Gwyn.
Why? He
and
fights dragons.
Seath the Scaleless. Of course, to play
Oh, wait. Never mind.
Devil's Advocate, Havel could also be there to slay the Nameless King. He is overlooking the corpse of an ancient dragon, after all, but as a final piece of proof that he's on the Nameless King's side, the half-dragon summoners, the ones with the frilly necks that summon phantoms to fight against you, they summon warriors of Havel to fight.
What?
Also, I want to point out that they summon a half-naked dude wielding Ricard's rapier and wearing a crown, so I'm assuming this is Ricard as well. And it links Prince Ricard to a king, it links him to the Way of the Dragon, and it links him to yet another castle full of half-dragon snake creatures.
It's a fortress, not a
So
castle.
that is pretty much everything surrounding the Nameless King explained. So
Okay.
what do you believe? The story is really open-ended, and I've given you most of the raw information you need to tell your own story. But regardless, now you know the story of Archdragon Peak, where the
Regardless,
Son
more
of
like.
Gwyn switched sides, separated himself from the fire-linking fiasco, and assumedly quietly began rebuilding the ranks of the ancient dragons. So we just...
we need a fucking, you know what we need? We need a Dark Souls Silmarillion. That's what we need, boys. We need an entire, giant, just lore book that we could reference and just be like, yes, in the fifth battle of the Ninareth Ariandia, yes, very good, yes. We reference this, you know, like a bigger tome that we could look at, and just for when we're confused. I mean, like I've got tomes upon tomes up there on the book on the right side up here, like, you know, massive collections of lore. Never read it. You get credit for trying. It's hard, but you get credit for trying. As the meme goes. But we need something like that for Dark Souls. I don't know why nobody's come along and made something like that. Like I would have a whole section of hardbacks up there on the shelf.
talked about how Havel hated a dragon named Seath the Scaleless, and quietly began rebuilding the ranks of the ancient dragons. So we just talked about how Havel hated a dragon named Seath the Scaleless, a traitorous, mad pale drake whose twisted soul clearly lives on in Osiris, the consumed king.
Oh, yeah.
Osiris was once king of Lothric, married to a queen who was revered as a goddess of fertility.
Do not tell me that fucking slimy, scaleless, whiny little king guy that I fucking stomped in 30 seconds was married to my queen. I cannot listen to this. I will go berserk, okay?
Fertility and bounty, much like Guinevere from Dark Souls
good.
1, and
Not her.
as we know from the previous video, the Lothric line was obsessed with creating a worthy heir and the right of the linking of the fire. Osiris,
that emo,
however,
bro?
in his later years, became fascinated with dragons. His research led him to the heretics of the Grand Archives.
Wait.
Osiris, however, in his later years, became fascinated with dragons.
Oh, so he
His
became like
research
this.
led him to the heretics of the Grand Archives of Lothric, where he
Can I just say this about Dark Souls 1? As another, just a quick little comparison also. Grand Archives, Duke's Archives. Let's compare the two real quick. Grand Archives, kind of fucking lame compared to Duke's Archives. Am I right or am I wrong? Think of those staircases in Duke's Archives. Dark Souls 1. You have to turn that puzzle. Oh, the puzzle with this turning the two staircases, right? And then figuring out, because there's one at either end, and you have to turn it to get to each place, and you're like, I don't get this at all. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, oh my and then you get it, and it's like, it's perfect. Grand Archives. I pulled a lever. I don't even know what it fucking did. There's like a lever. Like if you imagine where this camera is, directly below where this camera is, I think there was like a lever and between two bookshelves where these hands came out to try and grab me. I pulled the lever, and then I went, and nothing happened. Nothing fucking happened. There was another lever I pulled, and it just like revealed a shortcut. Ooh, yay! A little nice shortcut. You could just walk to the... And by the way, shortcut? Not really. Because a few seconds later, you get another one. Like literally, this is a shortcut that takes you... I can't remember. But I mean, there's fucking 50 shortcuts in here that make 49 of them redundant. It opened a small area where a slab was hiding. Oh, really? No. Oh, fuck it. I might have missed that. Shit. But you know what I mean? Just, I don't know. You prefer Grand Archives. Fair enough. Duke's Archives for me, better. It's just better. Maybe it's not as... I guess the design for this place is obviously kind of cooler. You've got the wax. You've got cooler enemies, maybe, with those guys that spit the wax. But then there's also those copy-paste little goblin boys with the gimp masks. Grand? You prefer... Yeah, this is Grand Archives, right? Duke's Archives is the one in Dark Souls 1. Are we on the same page, I think? Anyway, I mean, this place is visually more appealing. I mean, obviously it's more modern design. There's a lot more put into it. There's a lot more stuff there. But it's just, I don't know, just that puzzle of... And then when you face Seath and you get imprisoned all of a sudden, you're just in a totally different place and you're like, where the fuck am I? And you got to fucking get back to where you were. Like, that was sick. I don't like the intentional death that you can't skip. That's kind of fucking lame in Dark Souls 1. That bit sucked. I didn't like that. But I just think overall, just the puzzle, just it being a completely new thing. And you're like, oh, a puzzle that you have to solve. I love that. It's not, yeah, it's, the whole area is pretty just symmetrical. This place is more like a winding sort of labyrinth that you have to solve by going outside and going up and round and da-da-da-da-da. But yeah, just, I don't know. Duke's Archives for me was just more satisfying than this place. Anyway.
Discovered the twisted worship.
The puzzle, cool. A puzzle, wonderful. Okay, dude.
Eventually, he discovered the research that was done.
There it is, right there, this thing. That thing. I didn't get what that did. I never got it. Which is great. It reveals that there's a slab somewhere. Did I find it? Not sure.
Worship
Here we go.
Seath
What's this?
and archive with dragons.
Okay,
His research led him to the heretics of the Grand Archives of Lothric,
Sons of bitches.
where he discovered the twisted worship of Seath the Pale Drake. Eventually, he discovered the research that was done by Big Hat Logan, who you'll remember from Dark Souls 1. He was this legendary scholar who went mad delving into Seath's sorceries. So Osiris was inspired, he was edified by Big Hat Logan, and he even learnt how to perform the crystal breath of Seath the Scaleless.
But why did he turn into him?
transforming into this dragon. He was changing, and behind Osiris we see the rest of his chambers, and they're full of dragon scales and dead man serpents, and there's even a Drakeblood Knight in the Way of the Dragon pose.
Oh, wow.
Osiris himself was clearly somewhat successful at turning into an ancient dragon, and given his admiration for Seath, it seems that he took on Seath's soul aspects. Osiris became this blind, mutated pale drake just like Seath, and he was obsessed with this notion that he could use his royal blood for a, and I quote, greater purpose. So he fathered this crossbreed child with his queen and named him Ocelot.
Oh.
After giving birth to Ocelot, her youngest child, the Queen of Lothric quietly disappeared.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Queen a little bit.
She did Hera, Greek mythology. Gave him the old off the mountain. Yeah, no. So, this queen either takes after Guinevere.
This queen either takes after Guinevere or is Guinevere. Because in Dark Souls 1, Guinevere left the ailing land of Lordran in exactly the same manner that this queen leaves the ailing land of Lothric. Also, Guinevere of Dark Souls 1 also pushes the chosen undead to link the fire, and in Dark Souls 3, the Queen of Lothric is obsessed with finding people to link the fire, even placing powerful rings in the untended...
Where's the motivation? What is my motivation? Dark Souls 1 motivation. Dark Souls 3. Like who's telling me to link the fire? That little guy on the chair? Yol? Or whatever the fuck? Come on, bro. Yo mama. Bro. Come on. That old bitch that was saying, save the prince, save the prince. I don't know the fucking prince. What am I...
graves in the hope that one day an unkindled would rise to link the fire. So the parallels between these two are undeniable. And with the flame fading in Dark Souls 3 and this pus of man spreading across the castle, the Grand Archives, where Osiris learnt all of his knowledge, closed its doors for good. And Osiris remained, walled off behind this garden, clutching his dragon crossbreed Ocelot.
What?
Many assassins were dispatched to his domain, but none returned.
Is that what these things are called? Assassins? You call them assassins? They're gimps, dude. They're fucking gimps. Wake up. Wake up. They're fucking...
We learn that the consumed king ascribed his resilience to the divine protection of the dragon scale. And when we stumble through the consumed garden, we find this pale drake cradling his invisible infant crossbreed before the fire.
He was holding warm-ups, is what I call them. Bingo. Bingo! He was holding Ocelot. They're thralls. No, you're thinking of World of Warcraft. Yeah. Warm-ups, that's clever. Yeah. Man, I miss Thrall, dude. Whatever happened to Thrall? We don't get to hide. Remember that? Sourfang? We don't get to hide.
Right. He's a very vocal boss, which
Sure
is rare.
is.
And I think we need to dissect every line
I like
of his
that.
dialogue.
I love that about that fight. That was actually the coolest thing about that fight. People still play that, I hear. Yeah, that was the coolest thing. You don't get fights where they're yapping all the time, and I kind of like that. That was maybe if it was too common, you'd be a bit like, "Shut the fuck up." But like the Frida fight, I loved that they were like that. There was a bit of yapping going on from the, like even like at the end of the fight, maybe like when it was kind of they were getting cooked. They were talking, but yeah, just this fight was so cool that he was fucking saying stuff, and I was like, "What are you talking about, eh? I'm killing your ass. You shouldn't be talking."
You ignorant slaves.
Also, why did they get the same voice actor for Smaug as in The Hobbit for this? I don't. What was that about?
Finally taken notice, have you?
It's a bit on the nose.
Power of my beloved Ocelot, child of dragons. Well, I will not give him up, for he is all that I have.
You ignorant slave.
So first off, he calls us ignorant slaves. And I think this means that he's arrogant and he sees his subject.
Whoa! Can we? I'm going to rewind this real quick because I don't believe I just saw what I think I just saw. Ignorant slaves, rude. Look at this. Does he just correct me if I'm wrong? Correct me if I am wrong. Fast roll with Havel gear, Havel shield, Havel tooth.
Ignorant slaves. And I think this means that he's arrogant and he sees his subject as slaves, or perhaps he's referring to us being slaves to the linking of the fire, which Lothric is known for.
That makes sense.
Then he says, "Finally taken notice, have you?" which explains how he hasn't been disturbed for a very long time. He is out of the way, he's not a main boss, and he's also behind this fair line of defense and within a locked-off castle. We know it's been a long time because the main boss we fight in this area also gives us that impression. Osiris believes that this crossbreed child named Ocelot is
Will help him.
worth taking notice of, but is he really?
It doesn't even
Ocelot
exist,
is
bro.
the crying baby in the boss fight, and if we could see it, we would probably see that it's a crossbreed between a dragon and the royal bloodline.
Ooh.
And crossbreeds of this type have existed in the past.
With
3
enough points into Vit. Listen, anytime we get a point in this next New Game Plus run, it's going straight in Vitality, bro. It's going straight in Vitality, bro. It's going bro.
others we know of are the Emerald Herald, Yorshka,
Yeah.
locked up in the tower,
Yeah.
and most notably Priscilla
Oh.
from Dark Souls 1. All that time ago in Dark Souls 1, we
What are you talking
theorized
about right
that
now?
Priscilla was a
Sorry.
notice of, but is he really?
Oh,
Ocelot
crossbreeds.
is the crying baby in the boss fight, and
Yeah.
if we could see it, we would probably see that it's a crossbreed between have existed in the past
Right.
the royal bloodline.
Okay.
And crossbreeds of this type have existed in the past. 3 others we know of are the Emerald Herald,
Don't know what that is.
Yorshka,
Know what she
locked
is,
up
yeah.
in the tower,
Yeah.
and most notably Priscilla from Dark Souls 1. All that time ago in Dark Souls 1, we theorized that Priscilla was a crossbreed between a lord and a dragon. Specifically, a lot of people said that she was the offspring of Seath the Scaleless and Guinevere, and that parentage is really strongly mirrored here between
like it.
Cyrus and his queen, who's basically Guinevere. And maybe I should have
Don't say
mentioned
that.
this earlier, but Priscilla also had the ability to turn invisible, which explains why Ocelot, the baby he appears to be
Oh,
cradling,
is invisible.
cannot be seen.
Oh.
And if Osiris is blind, like Seath was, then perhaps he's not even aware that his child is invisible.
Oh, that would be
Priscilla
crazy.
also
Emerald Herald is the Firekeeper in Dark Souls 2? What? I take it back. Everybody was so subpar compared to her. Do you remember when she sat on that rock kicking her little feet? Great take. Yeah. Anyway.
also had this ability called Life Hunt, which apparently the gods feared. Presumably, Life Hunt, though it is never properly described, can harm the gods, and maybe the threat of this was what made the Queen of Lothric leave her home this time around. Because it is easy to believe that Osiris would turn against his own kingdom. After all, Seath's soul line, as I'm calling it, they've all been betrayers. Seath betrayed the ancient dragons, the Duke of the Writhing Ruins in Dark Souls 2 set spiders upon the townsfolk, and I think it's most likely that Osiris hoped that this crossbreed child would be this powerful weapon with Life Hunt, based on how he talks about it during
Wow.
the fight. However, this
didn't do
crossbreed
anything.
didn't turn out as Osiris hoped, clearly.
I got
And
scared.
Osiris's plan, maybe not such a great one. He is always referenced as deluded and mad.
Dear little Ocelot,
What a voice.
where have you gone? Are you hiding from me?
You're fucking holding him, right?
Come out. Don't be afraid.
Brother.
Born a child of dragons. What could you possibly fear? Now, show yourself, Ocelot. My dear little Ocelot.
Yeah, do something.
Originally, Osiris resembles a father fighting to protect his child, but as he nears death, he seems to become increasingly frustrated with his crossbreed's lack of power.
That is annoying. I hate when that happens. Ocelot! Oh, he smashed it. He smashed
He
on the
appears
ground.
even to smash this baby he was cradling upon the
He
ground.
smashed the baby?
And he reverts to a more feral stage as he fights for his life against us. The baby, however, it continues to cry even
Oh, it's
after
okay.
this, so yeah, maybe it's still
Wait,
alive.
Dark Souls 4?
So, What
Us
are the
versus the baby.
consequences of Osiris's treachery? Well, the collapse of his rule was probably this fair part of the collapse of the castle and even of Lothric Kingdom. Plus, the passive man is concentrated a lot in his garden, but apart from that, like the Nameless King, I can't see that his decisions had this huge impact upon the world. In the previous video, we talked about how the Lothric bloodline resorted to unspeakable means to find a worthy heir to link the fire, and my last thoughts on this boss are that perhaps Ocelot was created with similar intent to Shanalot, the dragon crossbreed of Dark Souls 2 that men hoped would ward off the fire-linking curse.
What?
What's unclear is whether Osiris also fathered Lorien and Lothric, who are the two children of the royal bloodline who
Surely.
refused to link the fire. Lorien, the
Wait,
eldest,
what? How's he
was
out here?
raised as a knight, and before his brother's
fuck?
curse crippled him, he was famed
Can you do this?
single-handedly slaying the demon prince, leaving his sword eternally scorched with fire.
Whoa.
I'd
That's kinda sick.
wager that this demon prince is probably related to the old demon king, if only because they're the only hints of demon royalty that we've ever seen in the game. And if these two are related, then maybe the arena that you fight the old demon king in is also related. There are piles of dead demon kin corpses, which signifies that some battle took place here. And of all these demons, the shriveled old demon king is the only one to remain. Now, like a clump of burnt ash,
God, he
he's
looks
the
cool.
last living witness of the chaos of Izalith. The Chaos Flame of Izalith was born when the Witch of Izalith
yeah.
attempted to use her own soul to create another First Flame. Instead, she turned into this tumultuous bed of chaos,
Yeah,
which
yeah, yeah.
birthed demons from the fire, beings that bore the smouldering essence of the Chaos Flame and were doomed eventually to
You
perish.
can take him out
The
of
old
his boss
king's
room?
hammer
Oh,
has
wow.
survived since old Izalith and is imbued with remnants of the Chaos Flame. We've talked about the Chaos Flame so much over the years,
Yeah.
and in Dark Souls 3 we definitely see when it and demonkind are at their lowest point. Stray demons, Capra demons, Taurus demons, and even hidden centipede demons, they're all dead in this arena, and
Yeah.
one stray demon we do face out in the world even lacks a trace of flame,
No
showing
fire.
how core this flame is to their survival.
Yeah.
So the demon race and the Chaos Flame, it's demonstrably at its lowest point in the series. All of this said, demons are a largely undeveloped part of the lore, and I really do wish that they were designed to be more than just brutish enemies, you know? With the old Demon King, though, I liked it at the end of the fight. You might not have noticed, but if you keep him alive at around 10% health, he, in this desperate
Yes,
attempt to
I did notice that. I thought that it was part of me taking him to the water. Because there's water at the back of this room, and I thought that maybe that had caused him to fucking dry up, but he explodes, and then he's just like, it's over. I've used everything I had, and he can't really fight back anymore. Oh my god. Wow.
fend us off with one final effort. He releases all of his remaining energy. He fails, and then he stays panting on the ground indefinitely, unable even to lift his great hammer,
okay.
surrounded by the corpses
Oh my
of his kind,
God.
and he's the last piece of his race, just reduced to flimsily batting us away with one hand.
That's so
That kind of
sad,
scene
bro.
where there's no cutscene, there's no break in the gameplay, and it still shows, an emotion, a feeling that it wants to convey.
What does that remind me of? It reminds me of something. Fuck. Oh, is there another Sif. Is that what I'm thinking of? And when when he's limping. Maybe that is what I'm thinking of.
Hey, that's good game design, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's lost on a lot of people
Yeah, that's
because
fucking
most
sweet.
people will just finish this guy off in that last 10% of his health.
That was
a
me.
powerful scene.
I did that.
And finally, the curse-rotted
Oh,
Greatwood,
you slime
rooted
ball.
in the Undead Settlement. The Undead Settlement is a home to many undead, and it's full of workers who are dedicated
Good men.
to the dissection and the burial of themselves.
Oh.
Because it makes sense that in this village and refuge full to the brim with undead...
Honestly, you know what? I might say this. There might be one area I might have preferred to Ring City. It might be this one. I might say it. Undead Settlement is a fucking strong area for Dark Souls 3. Shortcut that's like pretty fucking badass. Yeah, I'm saying it. I'm saying it. I'm not afraid to say it. No, the boss. I like cool little Easter eggs, like being able to get into that cage. I like the Estus soup. I like the design of the area, how it's like all fucking a lot of death in these death cages, and I like the fucking all the cages at the bottom of that pit. I like that there's a reason to return there, like to use that key to get into the sewers, or to get to the woman that's fucking trapped in that little... You're hearing it? I mean, it's not... It's... I need to see a big list of all the zones and just think about it in my head. And like, you know what I need? A tier list. You ever see that website with a tier list? I need that. Did you get into the cage after talking to Nana? I got into the cage. I don't remember if I talked to Nana. I don't remember, to be honest. But yeah, I love that area. I thought it was a really strong area, to be honest.
A task would end up being, what do we do with all the bodies that keep rising from the grave? There's just this sheer
love those enemies with those guys,
which could never be properly reduced because they never die. And as a result, in this place, you find undead
creepy shit like
together,
this.
dissected, hung, and buried, but probably just rising from the dead all the same to begin the process over again. Eventually, teachers from the Cathedral of the Deep came to take advantage of this climate
that's
in
cool.
the undead settlement.
Like, just the fact that the evangelists were there, like, why? Why are they there? Like, they're just randomly there, like a few of the evangelists. I kind of like that. And now hearing this lore reason behind it, that's sick.
The evangelists, all women, came to enlighten.
They are fucking women, but they're like, but they've got beards and shit, don't they?
Of the undead settlement and sent
you have a beard?
Carriers
Maybe it's a
on
mask.
the path to sacrifice, most likely to the Cathedral of the Deep, where they would be consumed by Aldrich as a sacrifice. So, given this, it's no surprise really that all manner of curses managed to seep into the undead settlement, for undead were being dissected, their bones were being ground.
Like that, with the spear giant, just that is a little... Just that is what it was. Probably the most unique thing in the game. Like, event. Sick. That's just so cool. You can go up to him and be like, you want to be friends? And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, I'll help you anytime. That alone might make it the best area in the game. Then how often do you see him again? You see him once when you're in the cathedral and he chucks some more spears for you to help you.
To dust,
awesome.
And they were buried within the earth. Rooted within that same soil, that same earth, was a spirit tree that would become known as the curse-rotted greatwood. Spirit trees are another really undeveloped part of Souls lore, and they appear mostly in item descriptions from Dark Souls 2. It's really easy to skip any description of a spirit tree. So let's talk about
the testicle
what we know.
Monster.
They're described as magical.
Ew,
sentient.
I've never actually noticed these things hanging from its hair. What are they? Look, they've got they're like balls with arms and legs coming out.
And
Ooh,
supposedly possessing
that.
divine powers. Two descriptions in particular reference them as appearing in a dream world related to Quella, who is the goddess of dream. There was this one talking spirit tree that also turned itself into a shield
Dark Souls
to
2,
protect a small, frightened child. I also have a hunch that this green tree that repairs items in Dark Souls 2
Never
in
saw
the
this.
Sunken Kingdom, I
Never
think
saw
it
this
could
place.
be another type of spirit tree as well.
Wow.
But again, this is just an educated guess. There's not much we know
Wow.
about these creatures. At any rate, the worst of the curses in the undead settlement were sealed away inside this spirit tree. Maybe it happened naturally, or maybe the townsfolk hoped that the tree would purify said curses, but eventually, however, the curses took their toll and festered in the belly of the Greatwood. So let's talk about what we find in the belly of the Greatwood. One thing we find is the transposing kiln, which is this artifact from Coreland.
Wait, what? Wait, what? Inside the belly of the Greatwood, you find the transposing kiln? That was when we got the little guy to do transpositioning?
Find is the transposing kiln, which is this artifact from Coreland stitched with crystal lizard hide.
Before I was a Lord of Cinder, I was a student of transposition, the process of extracting and coalescing the essence of a soul. A forbidden art that once left a foul stain upon Corland's honor.
What?
'Tis an art that grants powers once thought unattainable. Most transposing kilns were lost with Coreland, but this place is a crossing for all manner of cursed objects.
Unwanted, cursed items were what was sealed within the Greatwood, so it makes a degree of sense that the forbidden transposing kiln would also be sealed within it at some point. And with Ludleth's help, this kiln allows souls to be turned into a form we can use, like a weapon or a ring. These items reflect the souls that they were transposed from, and give us more insight into that being.
What little G
Ludleth
he is,
himself,
look at him.
for example, drops the skull ring, which was a wonder transposed from the soul
Oh,
of
I
a
got
soul
that.
feeder,
I got
a
that.
beast that insatiably
Stinky,
absorbs
stinky.
souls
Yeah,
to
yeah.
feed its own power. So when we transpose the curse-rotted Greatwood soul, we aren't getting items related to the Greatwood, we're kind of getting items that were related to the curses that were within the Greatwood. For example, one is the Spear of Arstor, who was this knight from Karim, fond of impaling his enemies, and he was credited with the dreadful creation of the Bite set of rings. This is one thing we get from within the Greatwood. Another is the Hollow Slayer Greatsword, which harbours the fears that lurk within the minds of Hollows, and is more effective at killing them. So this sword, it's fairly well known in Souls. It once belonged to Lucatiel of Dark Souls 2, and
Wow.
you might be able to see why the Hollows of the Undead Settlement would
Oh,
seal
her
this
story
sword
was so
away.
sad.
It was known for killing their kind, and that's one hell of a curse to them.
So that's it.
Let's talk about some comments from the previous video before I end this video. Siesta Yon Jugo says, "Why do you assume Aldrich saw Yorshka in his dream? Wouldn't Priscilla make more sense?" So Siesta is referring to the fact that Aldrich can cast a version of Life Hunt Scythe, and Life Hunt Scythe was a spell that Priscilla used, and he's wondering why I think that Aldrich saw Yorshka. And he's right, Priscilla might make more sense in retrospect, but my thinking is based around my theory of a lot of the characters in the game. You know how earlier we were talking about Osiris and how he takes after Seath?
Yeah.
Well, in my perspective, Osiris pretty much represents Seath in this game, and in the same sort of manner, Yorshka, to me, represents Priscilla. And that goes a bit more deeper than just being a descendant. I think that she fits the same role in this timeline as Priscilla did in her timeline. Priscilla was a crossbreed locked away in a painting near Anor Londo, and Yorshka is also a crossbreed locked away.
I want a lore video just on all the locations in Dark Souls 1 that are shared across and into Dark Souls 3, and not some bullshit like they're just reusing the assets because it's, you know, because why not, even if they did. I want a lore specific reason as to why these areas are in Dark Souls 3 and in Dark Souls 1. Anor Londo, the most obvious one. Why is it there in why is it there in Dark Souls 1? Oh, sorry, in Dark Souls 3 and in Dark Souls 1. How did it get there? Or why is it different? Why is it in a different location? I want to know about where Priscilla's little... where Priscilla's building that she stood at the top of, why that was there in the painted world. I want to know why the what was it? Is the Grand Archives that was in Ringed City? Not the Ringed City, sorry, the Dreg Heap. Why that was there? If that was what that was. Why when I went to why that room in Firelink was there after the boss fight with the demon. What were those demon princes called? Is that what they were called? The demon prince. Why was that bit of Firelink, the original Firelink, there? I need all of that. I need a video on that shit.
In a tower near Anor Londo. Both of them were probably locked away for being crossbreeds, and yeah, so when I say he dreamt of Yorshka, I assume that Yorshka would have the same Life Hunt Scythe skill, and Yorshka inhabits this world, whereas Priscilla hasn't been proved to inhabit this world. So that's why I said Yorshka, but yes, you're right, I think, because Aldrich is devouring Gwyndolin, who would probably have knowledge of Priscilla, even if it did occur a very long time ago. So that was my thinking.
Stop showing me Dark Souls 1 clips. It makes me want to play Dark Souls 1.
Makes
Come on,
sense. But I'm glad for the chance to clarify. Guy Dude left a comment that basically summed up what I was talking about in the video. He says, I want Water Souls, the future Aldrich saw now. And Aldrich says, what? And then Gabriel says, yeah, enough of this fire linking crap. I want to link the sync. And to lead us out, a poem by P. Dragon on Aldrich. He ate my waifu, so I ended his lifeu.
Beautiful.
Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe.
There it is,
check out
boys.
some more.
There
Become a
it
patron
is.
if you want to support the channel. But regardless, thank you for viewing this one.
So good.
And I will see you
So good, dude.
in the next one. Bye-bye.
I need this guy to fucking write a book, man. I need to write a book. Make it like I've got mountains of these fucking books that are like encyclopedias as to I can't reach them, they're too far away. But mountains of these HarperCollins books on Lord of the Rings. And you could easily do something like that with this game and this all the shit that has been written sneakily into these. You could write it from the perspective of like a historian that where all the pieces aren't quite there, so the conjecture, you have to fucking fill in the blanks with conjecture a little bit. Something like that, you know? Historical speculation sort of thing. But all right, I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to come back tomorrow and do we're going to do DLC lore video, okay? Look, we're going to get fucking some Priscilla action, baby. Let's go. We'll do some stuff on Ariandel. We'll do some stuff on Ring City. And then maybe we'll just finish off every bit of lore stuff that we want to do. Good stream. Thank you, bro. GG's. Thank you. Yeah, we'll come back. We'll do Ring City lore and Ariandel lore and the Prepare to Cry stuff. I'd like to watch that as well. This guy, I want to know what the fuck that guy's story was. The crawling guy. Should I have killed him? Maybe I should, man. Maybe I should. And yeah, I mean that's what we'll do tomorrow. Okay. Prepare to Cry. I can't wait for that with Yorm. I can't wait. Fuck. So same time tomorrow. We'll do some of that. And then and that'll probably be us for Dark Souls 3 for a while. Good hanging, good stream. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you guys as always. The Grey Rat story. Oh, don't let me forget Grey Rat. Okay, that'll do for us. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow night if you're here. Have a good sleeps. Rest well. Thank you, Dark Souls 3. It was fun. Goodbye.